is it's a wooden box. It basically was made out of shipping crates, drawers. People actually in the slave trade, they were used as instruments. So the cajon kind of came out of that history. And it's basically a wooden box, and you can play the front and the back, and there's two types. There's a Peruvian style, which there's no guitar strings or snare sounds of any kind. It's just more the tone of the box. And the flamenco style is with the guitar strings or kind of a snare bed in it that has more of a snap to it. So it almost sounds very snare drum-like. So some cajones come with them or without. Some have it so you can turn them on or off. But basically it's a hand drum made out of different types of wood, and you play it, you actually sit on it and play it and get different tones that way. I actually first encountered the cajon. I was going to school in Boston, and just a bunch of friends and myself wanted to sort of play music and do it acoustically, and I ended up walking to a music store and finding this instrument and just fell in love with it. It just was this portable drum, and I kind of come from the more rock world of drum set playing, so I had sort of taken it and started to create my own thing with it and played it more like a drum set player would. And I kind of fell in love with it because I had studied hand percussion as well, so to me it was like this instrument that I could do both worlds on. I could play it like a hand drum, I could play it like a drum kit, and it changed my career a bit in that it made it so accessible to other people that I play with, other musicians that I play with, so I was able to work in a different variety, with a different variety of musicians and with a bunch of different music. So I actually explored genres of music that I had never explored before. So it opened up a whole new world for me, not only because of the instrument, because of the portability and the fact that I could play it in smaller venues. And it just sort of taught me so much more about percussion, all from one instrument. So I fell in love with it, and I think I fell in love with what it could do for music. So you just want to get a nice, even, low tone. The workshop we did today was strictly just a workshop on sort of technical ways of playing the cajon, the history of the cajon, how to play it, how to approach the instrument. I think the beauty of the instrument, especially with when you're teaching it, is that there's lots of options. It's a very accessible instrument for people. All ages can play it. So many people can have different techniques on it, you know, and really express themselves differently. Like any instrument, there are specifics and things that you can do, but I find the cajon opens up a whole new world for people. You know, a guitar player can sit down and play guitar and then have a jam on it. A percussionist can use brushes or mallets or anything on it and really create their own voice with the cajon. And I think there's something magical about a wooden box that can let, you know, people become so creative just on a wooden box. I mean, you see it and it's not complicated, but you know, you see guitars and you see all these other things, but this is a wooden box and people are making them and you know, learning on them and touring with them. I just think it's kind of become a really beautiful thing. Right? That kind of thing. So now you can move that, now you can move this part around. You know, I think like a lot of hand drums they came out of, you know, a need, people wanting to play drums, and talking about the origin of the cajon being shipping crates or even drawers. The different cultures had the cajon. One, for instance, was Cuba, where they did come out of shipping crates. So the importance, I think, not necessarily just in Cuba, but all over, you know, South America and the Caribbean, was that this box drum was available, widely available, that you could play anywhere. So it kind of historically became an instrument just from the need of needing an instrument around and something to play and something to build community in that time. So I think historically it did stem from the slave trade and from that time when people couldn't bring their instruments with them from Africa. So people were looking for whatever instruments they could find in shipping crates, especially when they were on ships, was the easiest instrument to find, and you could sit on it and play it and go from there. you're still kind of like curling your fingers in a bit. So just relax and keep them as flat as you can. Yeah. I think the importance of sharing knowledge. I think in every aspect of life, I think it's good because I think you share what you know. You share your experience. You share your knowledge with anyone. I think the importance of music in general is that you pass that around. You share what you know. You share what you've learned, and in turn, the person you've shared your information to can share something back. I think the beauty of music is it's no different from when you're on stage performing. You're giving something back to that person, and in return, you're getting something. And I think that's how music works. And I think it's just as important in an instructional sense, in that I'm passing the knowledge that I've learned in my journey to somebody else, and then that becomes part of their journey. And I think when you have a workshop, when you have 10 people learning how to play, working on stuff, everybody has a different experience and everybody's adding to this melting pot. And I actually prefer workshops a lot more to private lessons sometimes, because everybody walks away not with just one person's experience, but with 10 or 20 people's experiences.
Tell me what happened, pretty I say. Are you feeling lucky? Yeah. It's touch is such a hope you're feeling lovely. At least you should. You should. And I know what it's like to be